Debate. Joining me tonight, Gaurav Bhatia, National Spokesperson of the BJP, Dr. Anand Ranganathan, author, Arima Sundaram, Senior Advocate, Tehseen Poonawalla, Political Analyst, Dr. Suman Siraman, Political Analyst. But my first question goes to Mr. Vivek Bansal, Senior Congress Leader. Vivek Bansal ji, Rahul Gandhi can't go to court, go to Parliament from tomorrow. Automatic disqualification is what the Supreme Court judgment has said, and it's just been interpreted on the Newshour by former Attorney General. So what's the Congress's strategy?
You see, whatever the strategy is, it reflects the way system is functioning in this country. For this innocuous statement, I think in democracy, if you cannot hurl or what you feel or you are not able to give vent to your feelings against any government or a leader, and if it is not, it's I think well within the limits of his speech.
So are you saying the courts are wrong?
I'm saying we respect the verdict of the court, but definitely we are not very happy with the verdict, the way it has been interpreted, because you see, it could be if you say that he made an allegation against the Prime Minister, did the Prime Minister file a defamation suit, which is mandatory for that? A third person has filed, and for that he has been given a he has been disqualified. So I don't think that is very much reasonable. It was not such a heinous crime for which he had been sentenced for 2 years or disqualified from the president. And definitely we are within our rights. We are definitely to be seeking refuge to the Supreme Court. We have faith in the judiciary, and Supreme Court would come to our rescue and would redress our grievances or whatever we feel against the lower court.
Well, so let me get in Mr. Gaurav Bhatia. Mr. Gaurav Bhatia, EVMs are bad, now the courts are bad, they have, erroneously given a judgment, and the Supreme Court order of July 2013 is not something that the Congress really believes in.
Navika, I think it was a delight to hear Mr. Mukul Rohde, and he spelt out the law of the country with so much of clarity that nothing more remains to be added there. But I would like to make a few comments on the political side as well. And, there are one or two things I would like to add. First of all, there is a strong message after the verdict. The message is that no one is above the law of the country. You break the law, there are consequences. You'll have to face those consequences. Second, there is another message. You can't be habitually irresponsible. You can't play with the law of the country thinking that I can say anything to an individual, and just because I don't have a good reputation to guard, I will get away with it. Ultimately, the courts of the country and the law will crack down, and that is exactly what has happened. But look at the journey of Rahul Gandhi. He is an accused in the National Herald case. He's apologized before the Honorable Supreme Court for lying in the Rafale matter where he said Chaukidar Chor hai, that makes him a liar. And today he's a convict as well. And a convict who has been making these irresponsible statements all throughout. But what worries me the most is what Mr. Kharge said today after the verdict came. He said that judges were changing and thus we knew, therefore casting aspersions on the judiciary, probably learning from Rahul Gandhi himself, who had said that judiciary is controlled by Narendra Modi ji, and on foreign soil very recently the judiciary in India doesn't exist. Now I want to appeal to the courts of the country that law is the same for everyone, and even Mr. Kharge should not be spared, and there should be a case of contempt on him. He should realize the might of law and what happens when somebody breaks the law. And last but not the least, there is a Vivek ji said that how is the person aggrieved? He has to read. This is criminal defamation. This is not civil defamation, and it is very clear any person who is aggrieved under section 199 of the Criminal Procedure Code can file a criminal complaint. In this case, very eruditely told by Mr. Mukul Rohde that Narendra Modi ji was defamed and every member of the Modi community as well. And even if you're outside the community, calling yourself Modi with a surname, you can file a criminal defamation.
Well, so Tehseen Poonawalla, you know, courts are not okay because you're questioning the courts. Yeah. Mr. Rahul Gandhi comes out
Can I chip in for...
Can I make my points, please, Vivek ji? Thanks.
Yeah. The question is here. The question here is B.V. Srinivas puts out that Rahul Gandhi is Bhagat Singh. Those are the posters that he puts out, and then he goes on to say कि भाई इस देश में किसी को बोलने की इजाजत नहीं है. Once again, democracy is in peril. I want to ask you: the courts are an important pillar of the democracy. Today, by making the statements that several Congress people have made against the courts, are you not yourself destroying the democracy that exists in this country? And not just that, immediately after making comments against the courts, by evening, you're once again back to questioning the EVMs and the process of elections. You accepted it when you won in Himachal, but by evening, even EVMs have become doubtful because Lok Sabha elections are coming. So, what is the Congress doing?
So let me come to the specific, and I think you raised very valid points. So let me today be the devil's advocate and say what, ma'am, you're saying is absolutely right, what Gaurav is saying. By that same logic, now let's extend the logic. Just last week, I'm quoting Times now, the Honorable current Law Minister of India said some ex-Supreme Court judges were anti-nationals. This is the Law Minister, current Law Minister. So any Law Minister, any ex-Supreme Court judge can now file a defamation case and send him to jail. The most Honorable Prime Minister said doctors are go on a foreign junket with pharmaceutical companies. So any doctor, important pillar of our country, so they can file a defamation case against the Prime Minister. Yes. So then people should start going to jail for that. Then that's how our system will get clogged. Now, the most honourable Prime Minister.
I want to stop. I want to stop you right there.
Ma'am, this is important.
No. What I'm saying is also important. You're saying any doctor can go to court. Of course, you can go to court. And you have to fight the case in court and let the court decide.
And if you do that, where you make generic statements defamatory, which are very generic statements like what the Law Minister said.
I have a question for Tehseen.
Gaurav ji, please, I hardly get a
what
chance.
What is the point you're making?
चलो आप ही बोलो यार, छोड़ दो, आप ही बोलो. अरे बात तो करने दो. राहुल जी का बात है.
Point क्या है?
आप बोलो.
एक तो रिजू जी, when he said Supreme Court judges, does that make it defamatory? Should Riju go to jail for that? I'm asking a larger question. Should Riju go for jail for that? When Narendra Modi ji said, and I quote him, Sonia ji was Jersey cow. Should he go to jail for that? That's personally defamatory.
All right.
Rahul Gandhi,
all right.
I have not made my points. I was interrupted. Please. Now listen. The point is, in a political tutu meme, you will always have generic statements. If you start going to court and filing criminal defamation, democracy will definitely be in peril. That's point one. Point two, I have a lot of respect for Mukulji. Great to have him on your show. But Mukulji is factually incorrect on this. Rahulji's sentence only kicks in after 30 days. It has been suspended for 30 days, which means he has the time to appeal. But he's right. There are 2 stages of appeal. He has to stay the conviction as well as the membership.
1 minute. Let's not put the cart before the horse. You raised questions on the statements made by the Law Minister. You made questions about the statements made by the Prime Minister. Now, Dr. Anand Ranganathan, where is the problem in all of this? The democracy is live, kicking, and the judiciary is there. Anybody who has a problem with these statements could have gone to court. Now, without going to court, to presuppose that somebody should go to jail or not, is the Congress trying to somehow play the victim card? Is it somehow trying to say, कि भाई इसमें भी Rahul Gandhi, B.V. Srinivas tweets, and he's the head of the Youth Congress, he says that वो माफी नहीं मांगेंगे सावरकर की तरह, वो he will accept the verdict against him and go to jail. अरे भाई, there was no option. This is not कौन बनेगा करोड़पति. There was no option given by the court that आप माफी मांग लेंगे तो हम convict नहीं करेंगे. There was a conviction, end of story. Well,
yeah, good
Dr.
evening,
Anand
Navika. Good evening, Navika, and good evening to my fellow panelists. First things first, I think this is a massive, massive blow to the BJP. I don't think BJP can recover from it. I mean, Gaurav is putting up a brave face and trying to smile. But yesterday when he was saying BJP might get 400 seats on its own, I think now they'll be struggling for 300. So they have appeal. This verdict has to be appealed by the BJP. I mean, their star campaigner has been put behind bars. But now let me come to the nitty-gritty of it. Navika, 3 points I like to make. 2 of them are factual. Gauravji, please, if you permit me. I won't take long this time, I promise. Navika, 1, as people have already explained, there is a Lily Thomas 2013 Supreme Court judgment. So this whole case is as open and shut as any public sector unit file. Basically, Rahul Gandhi stands disqualified. He cannot enter the parliament from tomorrow onwards. That much is certain. As far as the verdict is concerned, I don't know why people have not mentioned yet. There is a Varadarajan versus the state 2006 Madras High Court judgment that says that group defamation is not valid if there is no personal allegation against the person who's a member of the group. It is a very clear-cut judgment. It has also been reiterated by the Andhra High Court in 2018. Let me give you an analogy. If I say that with due respect, all Punjabis make horrible sambar, you cannot sue me because I have not personally alleged that you make horrible sambar. If on the other hand, I say Navika makes horrible sambar, then yes, you can sue me. So here, Narendra Modi could have sued, Lalit Modi could have sued, but anyone from the Modi community cannot sue Rahul Gandhi. That is my reading of it. And number 4, it is also a fact that the last time a Gandhi was convicted and sent to jail, we had an emergency. This time, thankfully, we already have under Modi Raj an emergency, so we have nothing to worry about. Kare to kya kare, wah Modi ji wah.
Well, Arima Sundaram. Now, once again, questions are being raised. Here the questions are being raised on the erroneous judgment and then the fact that democracy is in peril. How do you see the entire situation?
Look, Navika, I think everybody seems to forget about the big difference between criminal defamation and civil defamation. I've heard a lot of lawyers' comments on this through the day, but I have my own comments to make, and let me be very, very clear about it. There's a big difference between criminal defamation and civil defamation. In criminal defamation, if you defame, if you impute something with the intent to defame, that is criminal defamation. Intent does not mean that you must prove deliberate intention to say something about so and so. It means if any reasonable person felt that his comments could lead to imputing a defamatory allegation, that is sufficient for criminal defamation. Secondly, while truth is a defense in civil defamation, it is not in criminal defamation unless it's for public good. The third, and this is something everyone seems to be forgetting, because we kept saying, I heard earlier a statement being made that the real attack was on the Prime Minister, the real attack was on the Prime Minister. I think that argument will actually help Mr. Rahul Gandhi. The reason being that if the real attack was on the Prime Minister or the real attack was on someone else, and that was the individual, they did not file the complaint. So this complaint can only be filed not as a representative action for so and so. It can only be filed by a person who says he's been defamed. So to say that the primary defamation was of the Prime Minister, it might well be so, and I believe it was so. But that cannot be the ground for the conviction. The ground for the conviction can only be that the person who has come forward says, I have been defamed. Not somebody else has been defamed, I have been defamed. Now to say I have been defamed, the point which is raised is, after all, a group was defamed, how was he defamed? The answer is very simple. The genus includes the species. If you said all thieves are Modis, what did you do? You did 2 things. One, if I am a Modi, you have said something generically, I am included in it. So whatever it is, you have said something not only of the whole, but of every part of it. The second is, by saying all thieves are Modis, what have you done? You have said, if you're not a Modi, you're not a thief. Why? Because every single thief is a Modi. There is no thief who is not a Modi. Therefore, it means that thievery is one of the professions of Modi's. It's not a profession of anybody else. If you catch a thief, you don't need to ask anything more. You say, oh, he must be a Modi because all thieves are Modis. It's a very irresponsible statement, a statement which should not have been made. A statement like that from a political leader was certainly not called for, and I think that statement ought to be deprecated, and I believe this is the first step, because in politics, forget the party, forget the politician. I keep hearing these kind of speeches every time, one party or the other making these statements, quite forgetting that Article 14 has, Article 21, Article 14, and more important, Article 19(1)(a). 14 says there's no discrimination. Whether you're a politician or not a politician, it makes no difference. You cannot defame. 19(1)(a) says freedom of speech provided you don't defame. I hear defamatory statements every day by one political party or the other. No, I'm not singling out one political party. I've heard it across the line. And I've heard hate-mongering speeches. I just hope and believe this will be the start. With this, the courts will come down heavily on any politician, irrespective of political party, if he either hate-mongers or he defames. And I think that's a good start, and according to me, the court was right in two things. One, that group defamation can include the individual in the group, especially when you make an absolute comment. You didn't say some thieves are Modis. You said all thieves are Modis. What does that mean? That there does not exist a thief in the world who's not a Modi. If you're a thief, you must be a Modi. I think that's a very extreme, irresponsible statement to have made. And I believe a statement like that has led to the effect that it has. And it's a very serious effect. Whether he should have been given the maximum sentence or not may be a debatable issue. But having said that, I must say I haven't read the judgment. I don't know whether in the judgment from the evidence it has been brought out that the statement made was an attack on the generic group, including the complainant there, A, and B, that when the statement was made, he had knowledge as to the effect of what he was saying, of what he was imputing. And that is a matter of evidence which will have to be seen and looked at. But on the whole, I believe this is a good start to see that we put an end to this kind of political mongering.
Absolutely. Well said. Well said. And where does that leave you, Mr. Vivek Bansal?
This is a good start.
Nobody believes that the premise that you're saying, that it has to be an individual and about a group, the person himself has to go. The Modi who has gone because the generic statement was made actually impacts every member of that community, and that is something that is viable, and it is something that is an okay ground for the court to have decided. So, Mr. Bansal.
Sorry, it is not.
Navika,
for you it is.
One more thing. The statement made is not
Navika,
that Modis don't.
Can I just...
I haven't
It
spoken.
was something far more serious.
I'll come to you, Sumant Raman. Let me get the Congress member to respond to the statement made by the senior advocate, and I'll come back to you. Hold on. We are here for a while. Mr. Bansal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you did complete your question.
My question is, the defense that you use, the judgment is erroneous, is not upheld by any of the legal eagles that we've spoken to. So clearly, you have an uphill task when you go to a higher court to prove the fact that the judgment of the Surat court is erroneous.
Definitely, on the face of it, as I think this everybody would agree that it is erroneous in the fact that it has gone to its extreme, suspending or debarring his membership and giving a sentence of 2 years. Definitely, the statement. You see, it's like that. It's like that. That a person who is in a democracy, there were our esteemed panelists who had to say that this hate mongering has to stop. But there are certain allegations. There are certain allegations which on the face of it, or our perception is that it is like that. We have to bring it out before the public and to say that.
What are you bringing out before the public? Let me quote verbatim what Mr. Gandhi said. He said, I have a question. Why do all thieves have Modi in their names? Whether it is Nirav Modi, Lalit Modi or Narendra Modi. I don't know how many more such Modis will come out. Clearly, Mr. Bansal, Bansal, you are not limiting it to these three people. You are saying that जिसका नाम भी मोदी है, उसका कहीं ना कहीं possibility of being a thief है.
Navika, you are interpreting it slightly. You are trying to twist it your way, because he was specific first of all about these three Modis, and then he said that many more may come. He didn't say, it was not a sweeping statement regarding a community. He said that many more Modis may come. Many more Modis, that is
Anand Ranganathan, specific, generic, many more will come out. I'm twisting it, all kinds of allegations. Where do you stand?
No, you're not twisting it. With due respect to Mr. Bansal, Rahul Gandhi should just admit, and to be honest with you, it was I found it a sarcastic, light-hearted comment in the heat of the moment of an election rally. And, some brilliant points being made by Mr. R.N. Sundaram, and talking of law in front of him is like carrying coal to Dhanbad. But I would like, with due respect, for him to comment on the point that I have made about group defamation and the Andhra High Court judgment as well as the Madras High Court judgment of 2006, where it has been told by the judges and the bench that in group discrimination, unless a personal defamation has been made, you cannot take the group defamation to be pointing at you. Therefore, what Rahul Gandhi said was applicable if Narendra Modi or Lalit Modi were to sue him, but any other Modi cannot sue Rahul Gandhi.
Mr. Sundaram.
Well, I'm afraid I don't agree with that. My good friend has his point. He's referred to two judgments. But let me tell you very simply, it is this. Those were generic comments which were made, which were meant to be defamatory, which did not include the entire community. It was part of a group. It was while you talked about group, it was regarding a part of a group. The comment made here is all thieves are Modis. The imputation therefore is, if you're a thief, you must be a Modi. The extra imputation of that is that thievery is a chosen profession of Modis. Now I am a Modi. If tomorrow you say thievery is the chosen profession of Iyers, now I as an Iyer will say, every time I go to meet somebody and get a contract or do something like that, they're going to say, oh my God, he's an Iyer. Now, I understand that this community is not to be believed. Therefore, he is not to be believed. And if I can feel that effect down the line, I definitely have a cause of action. And that's my view.
Well, Dr. Suman Siraman, the judgment itself says, also in the present case, according to the discussion in the above paragraph, the case has not been filed only on the basis of the defamation of the Modi community, but also due to the pain caused to the petitioner. Moreover, the accused in his speech designated Shri Narendra Modi as a thief and compared him to the financial criminals who have hurt the Indian government like Nirav Modi, Lalit Modi, where he could have stopped. He could have also limited the speech to these people, but to intentionally insult all people with the surname Modi or those identified with the Modi name, he specifically stated, why are all thieves nicknamed Modi? So the reason is given by the judge. He says, therefore, the prosecution has proven its case without a doubt that the final order is declared as follows, and he gave the conviction order. Now, where do you disagree with the basic premise that is being used as defense by the Congress?
It is crystal clear, Navika, that three people have a cause of action in this case. They are Lalit Modi, Nirav Modi and Mr. Narendra Modi and nobody else. Let me read from a judgment because I have been silent for 40 minutes. Please give me 1 minute. If a person complains that he has been defamed as a member of a class, he must satisfy the court that the imputation is against him personally and he is the person aimed at before he can maintain a prosecution for defamation. In short, the grievance of the complainant should not be merely one that is shared by every member of an organized society. End of story. I think that these two sentences are crystal clear. It goes on further to elaborate about various other cases. The action for defamation would not lie at the instance of unincorporated collection of individuals. Examples like a political party or a members group or club. Such groups are merely classes of persons and there can be no libel on a class.
I think you're more of a lawyer than a doctor, but the lawyer wants to come in and explain.
Unfortunate. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. No, it could be, Navika. There are such eminent lawyers on this panel.
Very
Mr.
wise
Mukul
of you
Rohatgi
to have brought out the judgment that you
is here.
did. But can I just comment on it?
Yes, go ahead, Mr.
Can I
Sundaram.
just comment on it? It was very wise of you to have brought out the judgment. But if you saw what the judgment and what you just read out was, it was that unless he can show that he as a member of the community was also affected. Now, if the imputation hit him also as a member of the community. Now, I don't know whether that evidence has been made out in this case or not. We have to read the evidence. But from what Navika just read out, that last paragraph, the judge has specifically said that he personally was pained by it. The expression pained means he was personally, it was imputed and he felt the imputation and others felt the imputation to him also. That's a matter of evidence. You cannot say with a clear that any case of group immediately bars an individual from saying I've been defamed. That is wrong. With great respect, that would not be right. You can't say merely because of a group, even though if the imputation is also against me within the group, even though I'm also hurt by it, even though I'm also pained by it, I have no cause of action because I have not been specifically named. I'm sorry, but that's going too far. I don't agree with that.
Okay. Sir, so now what's your question?
Yeah, I just have one question for you, sir. One question for you. One question for Mr. Sundaram. Doctors are taking kickbacks from pharmaceutical companies. I am a doctor. Can I sue for defamation the person who made this statement? I feel deeply aggrieved. I am a member of the doctors community. I have a valid practice registration certificate and all that.
Okay.
Do I have a cause for action now?
Suman, where are you practicing? In
Criminal
which city?
defamation? I'm practicing
No, I'm answering
Chennai.
you. Let's say you're practicing in Chennai. So let me say, I say every doctor in Chennai is taking a kickback. If I say that, any doctor can definitely sue for defamation. But if I'm generic and say doctors, that is why I said there's a distinction in the judgments which you quoted. If I generically say,
it's
doctors are taking kickbacks.
It's a law class tonight, and it's a primer on how defamation can be filed and not be filed. That primer is now over officially on the Newshour Debate, and I'm coming back to the political debate. The political debate says that Rahul Gandhi cannot go to Parliament from tomorrow. Parliament, he can go to the Central Hall. He can't go to the floor of the House because he ceases to be a member. Now, what does the Congress party do?
It's been suspended for 30 days, so he has 30 days to appeal. So
that's your sentence. The sentence has been suspended, the conviction has not.
No problem, ma'am. We'll see tomorrow. Can I come on a larger issue?
No. The issue is specific. The issue is that the conviction is automatic and the conviction applies from the minute the judgment was read, and therefore Rahul Gandhi
except that the judgment has been suspended till he goes in further appeal. So there's a suspension. So he has 30 days to appeal, so he does not lose his membership for 30 days.
Number two,
just 1 second. Just one thing. Arya Sundaram ji, if somebody...
the primer on law is over. Does Rahul Gandhi get to court? Does Rahul Gandhi to go to Parliament or not from tomorrow? Is he a member of Parliament from tomorrow?
Just being interrupted.
Why are you preventing Tehseen from...
Just allow us to ask some questions.
No, but you'll have a question on law and I don't know.
I'm not asking on law, I'm making a political statement.
Okay, make
please.
a political
statement. No,
it's a political debate. Thank you. We just okay. Anyways,
You have a vote. You have a vote from
Dr. Suman said that the doctor's thing. Now somebody says specifically, XYZ lady is a Jersey cow. Shouldn't that man be sued? He says hybrid bacha. We are in a country where the most honorable Prime Minister gets away by saying absolute language that does not behold the highest position. Yet hate speech.
What's the point?
What's the point? Go to court.
What's the point?
Who's stopping?
Now you're going to interrupt me, Anand.
No,
have you become a heckler?
Have you gone to court?
Are you defending?
Have you gone to court?
Yes, I went on hate speech. The Supreme Court said make a law on hate speech.
But you didn't go
Amit Shah refused to make
specifically
it,
on this.
and hate speeches have been made. Who's been convicted for hate speech? I'm asking a political question.
All
Tell
right.
me one person who's convicted who benefits from hate speech. And Amit Shah ji said in Parliament, we will not respect the Supreme Court on hate speech.
is responding. Gaurav Bhatia.
And I don't like to shout, so it's just...
Navika, one by one, I waited for my turn. First of all, it's heartening to see Tehseen not even defending the statement of Rahul Gandhi. He knows within that, Rahul Gandhi made an irresponsible statement, which is an offense also, and today he's been punished. I would just want to tell him when he speaks about the Prime Minister and any of the statements, in democracy it's fine to criticize, but you cannot cast aspersions. And if you are aggrieved by any of the statements made by Kiran Rijiju ji or the Honorable Prime Minister, nobody stopped the person who is aggrieved from approaching the court. But you decided not to. Third, what Mr. Kharge has today said, Navika, is not criticism of the judgment. What he has said is casting aspersions on the judiciary, and that is why I think contempt proceeding should be drawn on him. Most importantly, today a larger question should be asked to the Congress. Just a few days back, Jairam Ramesh and Pawan Khera was granted interim bail by the Honorable Supreme Court, remarked, Tiger zinda hai. So what happened? Today the judiciary is being attacked by the Congress. What is the stand of Rahul Gandhi? I have a judgment. Rahul Gandhi was charged with rape charges. And do you know the High Court intervened and the Supreme Court upheld the quashing of the charges? And the Congress was in power. So was the Congress part, was the judiciary right then? Or can you cast aspersions on the judiciary then? Last but not the least, I think these three lines must be read to all the viewers, and I'm sure I've not read the copy of the judgment, but must have weighed very heavily with the judge who has pronounced the judgment. This is a judgment of the Supreme Court again earlier when Rahul Gandhi had unconditionally apologized. And what did the Honorable Supreme Court say? The Honorable Supreme Court first of all noted an unconditional apology coming from Rahul Gandhi. The Honorable Supreme Court then said this: certainly Mr. Gandhi needs to be more careful in future. Why was Mr. Rahul Gandhi not more careful? And last but not the least, I must also say that Rahul Gandhi also needs to tell the nation that why is it that he makes these irresponsible statements, whether on foreign soil, within India. If he is a member of parliament, it is his duty to make responsible statements and abide.
So Mr. Vivek Bansal, 30 seconds to you, Mr. Vivek Bansal. You know, several times indiscretions are made by several politicians, and I agree with you. It is across the board, politicians cross the line on several occasions. Your question is, why is it happening to Rahul Gandhi? People of this country will suddenly ask.
No.
Sometimes luck runs out. You don't know when it will run out.
No. Navika, it had been brought to your notice that the statements of the Honorable PM regarding Madam Sonia Gandhi, you say that politicians are in the habit of crossing the Rubicon. So as far as parliamentary or unparliamentary languages, you're hurling invectives or whatever, allegations against each other is concerned. And that is what we had been undergoing whatever we had to, as far as the opposition is concerned, we had been as part of the opposition, Rahul Gandhi. And let me tell you one thing I would like to, when I wanted to chip in for 30 seconds, there was a point that judiciary is being controlled. Mr. Ashok Gehlot had said, what would you say that Collegium had said, suggested a name of a Justice, Mr. Satyan, and he's not being appointed as justice just on this account that he had written an article critical of the BJP government.
Well,
so this is
Mr. Vivek Bansal, let me make it clear. It is not my case to say that, the BJP is in the right or the ministers who've made such statements against the collegium are in the right. The question here is, in the present case of Mr. Rahul Gandhi, the question is also about whether such cases can be filed against other political leaders, yes or no. Of course it can be filed. The fact of the matter is there needs to be some moderation. It's hard luck that it is beginning with Rahul Gandhi, but as Mr. Arima Sundaram said before me, he said that some amount of responsibility in public discourse is required. Maybe this is the starting point. Is it going to benefit the political class and the public of this country to be spared from diatribes in future? We don't know. But for the moment, what is important to know is that the courts have convicted Rahul Gandhi. Automatic disqualification is the result of that. What happens in higher courts? Well, that remains to be seen. Will there be some amount of pressure that will be let off? We don't know. We'll wait and watch what Rahul Gandhi does next. But for the moment, according to legal interpretation, he ceases to be a member of parliament just about automatically from tomorrow. Thank you very much to my panelists, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me on the News Hour tonight. Good night. Be safe.